Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things sewing, particularly dressmaking. And today's video is about everything that I made during the month of May. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel so far. It's been amazing. I've reached over 6,000 subscribers now. If sewing and sewing on a budget is your sort of thing, then please subscribe, and if you hit the notification bell, then that will tell you when I've got new videos out. That's generally on a Friday, where I've been doing Frugal Fridays. Recently on a Frugal Friday I've been looking at patterns or free patterns inspired by the Great British Sewing Bee, but there's discounts and giveaways and competitions as well on that. Usually on a Sunday I do videos like this where it's makes or plans or reviews. This one's coming out a little bit late, I've just got a little bit behind. And then on a Wednesday I usually do sew-alongs or tutorials or hints and tips, that sort of thing. So if that's the sort of thing that you feel like you would like to watch, please hit the notification bell and that will tell you when I've got new videos out. So on to the things that I made in May, and I'm going to say I made 5.5 things because one was a toile, really, it wasn't really a finished object. But I still made it, so I'm going to include it and talk about it a little bit because it's part of the actual process. So I'm going to have Mandy the mannequin modelling as I'm talking about things, because I think it's a little bit easier to show off what I've made. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been reviewing and looking at free patterns of the Great British Sewing Bee, which is aired in the UK. And the first one that I made during the month of May was this koala jacket, which is a free pattern from the fabric store. And this was inspired by the utility jackets that they made on the Great British Sewing Bee. And as soon as they showed the utility jackets, I knew that Fabric Store had this Paola jacket because I'd seen it a couple of years ago. And I thought I'd have a little bit of a play. It was a wet bank holiday and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to have a play about with some of my husband's old jeans. So it wasn't really a planned make, it was just like a spare of the moment make really, and I just thought, you know, I'll just have a little go. I put these jeans to one side a couple of years ago for another competition that I'd not really got round to taking part in. And I think my husband had forgotten I got them on the recycle pile because he said, I didn't know I got those. Too late anyway. I've cut them. I've cut them up. I mean, this is what we've got left of a pair of jeans. He's not going to wear them like that, is he? So yeah, I just had a little bit of a play, and as you can see, you can probably just see here. Let me just turn the camera a little bit so you can see it a bit better. You've got sort of a trouser leg here, another part of a trouser leg here. You've got a trouser leg on the each sleeve. And then at the back, that's just a trouser leg opened up. So yeah, I had really good fun making this. So I'll just talk about the pattern a little bit first. Free pattern from the fabric store. They are a little bit difficult to understand how to download their patterns. It's not intuitive of how to download their patterns, so if you are struggling on how to do it, then I've got a video that will help you do that. The instructions are in the form of a blog post and the patterns are A4 only. You can't get them printed A0 that I know of. The sizing goes from a size 0 to a size 30, so that equates to a 33-inch bust up to a 56-inch bust and a 35-inch hip up to a 58-inch hip. I made the size 8 to 10, they go sort of 0 to 2, and I made 8 to 10 because I'm a 37-inch bust, 32-inch waist, round about 40-41-inch hip. It is slightly oversized. I think you've got about 6 inches of ease at the bust. Yeah, you've got about 6 inches of ease at both the hip and the bust on this one. So it's slightly oversized. I mean, it's a jacket, it's bound to be oversized. And although it's a woman that's actually modelling it on the Fabric Store website, it is unisex because there's no bust darts, there's no shaping in it. The only thing you would have to watch if you wanted to make it for a man is the size of the shoulders. You would need to make sure that the shoulders are accommodated. It is an ever so slightly drop sleeve. It's not a completely drop sleeve like the Ilford jacket. I think the Ilford jacket comes right down here. That's a Friday Pattern company that I've made before. But yeah, it's just a boxy shaped, I think they're called workwear jackets or chore jackets. Quite an on-trend thing really, but not, you know, I don't make things because of that. I just liked it, I like the idea. So I've just unbuttoned it now so that I can show you the inside. So you can see that I've used the jeans pockets patch pockets from the jeans. I've unpicked those and just put those on. And then on the inside, I've just used a little pocket that from a shirt that I made. I made the winter wear design shirt and it was too big on the shirt, so I took it off just to see whether I was going to put it back on as a smaller one. And I decided not to and just use the pocket as an secret inside pocket, so that sort of goes at the other side of there so you can't see the stitching. And then these darker bits are leftovers from the Ariel skirt, I think. I just had some little bits. Could have used more jeans to do it, but I just thought I'd give it that little bit of contrast just to show that it is a recycled product or garment rather than, you know, trying to match it in too much. So then I used some more of the denim as the facing, and I did that for two reasons. Number one is because the denim in the jeans is a little bit thicker, and I found turning it through for the collar and what have you would have been too thick. And this is just a little bit thinner. And just to echo this side bit, and then I just constructed an extra pocket for the sleeve there. Not sure what I'm going to put in these pockets. They're a little bit fanciful, if anything, really, but I sort of took the inspiration from the Sienna jacket by Closet Core. They've got an option to put a pocket on the sleeve like that. And in the sewing bee, they had to have at least 4 pockets. So we've got 3 on the front here, 2 there, that's 5, and then 1 here, that's 6. I didn't make it in the 4 hours that the contestants had, but it didn't take that much longer. I think cutting it out obviously takes a lot longer when you're trying to piece things together. And I did originally want to put I'm not sure what you call this, angle pocket on, but when I tried to line it up, it just didn't look right on the thing, so I left that off. And then on the inside, I made some bias binding out of what that was left of this shirt. That isn't part of the pattern to bias bind it. I think it has you just overlocking it, but I thought I'd just add that. A little hook to hang your coat up, because it drives me mad when you don't have a hook. And then one of the Kylie in the Machines circa 2020. And then there's an extra little 2021, isn't it? There's a little 2021 one there. These come in the same pack. You've just got like 10 of each, I think, in each pack. So yeah, really easy sew. If you've never made a jacket before, I would highly recommend this. Like I say, the instructions are in the form of a blog post, so it's not going to hold your hand like the Ilford jacket by Friday Pattern does. There's a lot more instructions in that. But if you've got experience of sewing and you just want to have a go at maybe your first collar or your first jacket, it is really very, very straightforward. The sleeves are put in flat. The only thing is there's quite a bit of top stitching in it. The pattern does have your top stitch all around there, which I omitted. I didn't want it, and it would have interfered with where that pocket lies as well. The actual buttons and buttonholes hold it down. And talking about the buttons, I went for all mismatched buttons. I think there's just 2 the same, and that just got rid of a load of old buttons that I've got. You know, when you've just got one button and you think, what am I going to use that for? So it sort of tied in with the upcycled look of the jacket. So that took me 2.5 pairs of jeans to make this. Obviously I could have used 3 pairs of jeans and used jeans down there if I wanted to. I did have to adapt the pattern ever so slightly to cut into this because I was limited by the shape of the legs in the jeans. If you wanted to use fabric, it is recommending linen because the fabric store sell linen, and it's sort of recommending a heavyweight linen. And they're saying 2 yards up to a size 14 and 2.5 yards up to from a 14 to a 30. If you look on the fabric store webpage, there's loads of different fabrics are being used. Flannel, twill, denim obviously. I reckon if you used a lighter weight one, you'd just have a nice little spring summer jacket there. And it's a good alternative to your traditional denim jacket. A little bit different, a little bit more edgy if you like, especially if you do it like this. I've seen people put side splits in it, lengthen and shorten it. Like I say, I've seen it done for a man. If it bothers you, you just button it up the other way around. So instead of the buttons being on the left side, you put them on the right side. And yeah, if you compared it to the Ilford jacket, then basically the Ilford jacket has just got more options. So they've got options to lengthen it, different sleeve types. The shoulder's more dropped. I prefer this shoulder to be more on my shoulder. I feel a little bit sloppy with a drop shoulder. So yeah, I think it's a really adaptable pattern, and it's like a blank canvas. You could make it what you like, really. So yeah, it passed a rainy bank holiday Monday. I had lots of fun making it and just being creative and just sort of going with the flow, really. So a good pattern, I highly recommend it, and yeah, it's a good one. So I'm going to change bandy now and show you my next make. So make number 2 was the Heyday dungarees by Waves and Wild. Used to be by Jack's mum, or made by Jack's mum, I think she was called. Changed their name fairly recently, and when she changed over, she put everything on sale for $3 Australian, and I picked up this pattern then, which is about a month ago, something like that, maybe a little bit longer, 6 weeks. And I kept meaning to make them and never got round to it. And then Lucky Fashions, which is a local fabric shop to me, was having a sale, and I knew that I could get fairly cheap linen from her. So bank holiday Monday, she had a sale on, and yeah, £4 a metre for black linen. Stayed with black because I wasn't 100% sure that dungarees was going to be quite my style, so I thought if I went with something black, it wasn't going to make me look like a like a children's TV presenter or something. And then if I liked them, then I could go for something a little bit more daring. Probably would have gone with navy blue, to be fair, if they should have had navy blue, but she didn't. And I'm quite pleased I went with black, actually, because I don't wear a lot of black. Anyway, Heyday dungarees are very much like the Lucy and Yak. If you've ever seen the Lucy and Yak dungarees, they're very much like that. Really easy to make, really easy to fit. Your fit is actually adjusted really by the straps, because there's no button on them, or no fixed fixings, if you like, then you're making the adjustment with the straps. She drafts for somebody who's 5'5", I'm 5'8", but the legs are more than long enough for me to wear them unrolled up, but I do wear them rolled up and just have them just above my ankles with trainers. That's how I've been wearing them. So yeah, at 53, never thought I'd be wearing dungarees, and they are probably the most comfortable things I've ever made. Probably not showing up too great on the camera with them being black, I'm afraid. So we've got a bib pocket, you've got 2 front pockets which you can leave off, 2 back pockets here, probably can't see those now. It's such a simple construction, really. You start by sewing up the loops, the 2 loops here, and the straps, your pockets, putting your pockets on. So the fronts and back centre seams, top stitch them down, and then you sew your side seams and then your inseam, and flip over your top of your bibs to conceal these straps and loops, and that's it. It took me about 3 hours tops. So I bought the fabric on the bank holiday Monday, got it washed and cut it out on the Tuesday, started to sewing it before the sewing bee on the Wednesday after work, finished it on the Thursday morning. I think it took me about 3 hours tops. Because you're not fitting, I think that's probably part of it as well. You're not faffing about too much with the fitting. No bust darts, no zips, no buttons. You've got the option of putting, instead of these loops, buttonholes here, and just fastening them with a buttonhole. But I just thought I liked the little loop. It was just something a little bit different. And easy enough to slip on and off when you go to the loo. It's not a faff. Oh, obviously you still got to get undressed, but you know, it's not. You just slip these over your shoulders, and it's not such a fuss. Not like a full jumpsuit where you're having to unzip and what have you. So yeah, these are just a relaxed fit. She does have instructions on how to lengthen and shorten them if you're significantly shorter or taller. And she does give a little bit of advice if you're full busted as well. I think she just says it to extend the bib, but because there's no, it's quite open at the sides here, so it's and your straps sort of do the fitting for you. It can be made in a corduroy or a denim or a chambray, just woven fabrics really. A friend of mine made hers in, I don't know if it was an old duvet cover or curtains or whatever, and she looks great in them. And the sizing goes from a 30-inch bust up to a 54-inch bust. a 35-inch hip up to a 57-inch hip. There's no finished measurements on the instructions, there's no finished measurements, but like I say, she's got some advice on fitting. She's also got some advice on sewing through thick parts. I didn't have any trouble because this linen is fairly lightweight. You know, advises you to change your needle and things like that, which you don't often find in instructions, so I thought that was good. The only time-consuming bit about making these is that you've got 5 pockets to put on, and she does advise that you top stitch it all. So it's all you can't see this on the black, but it's all top stitched down the centre seams here and the side seams. You can't see it because it's black on black. You could pick that out and make a feature of it, but it's more than decorative. I think it's just to give it a bit of extra strength as well. Because, you know, dungarees are quite a utility thing, so you could be doing the gardening in it. You don't want to be bending over and splitting your splitting your backside. So recommended fabrics are your wovens, but she's saying between 1.6 metres for the smaller sizes up to 3.2. I think I used about 2.5 metres. It's quite difficult to get the, depending on the width of your fabric, to get these legs, because it's all in one, to get them side by side. So the bib and the legs are all in one, which is why it's quite an easy make. You know, actually you haven't got a separate bib on it. So this does come in a A0 option, A4 as well. I went for the A0 for once and got it printed at work. I work in a fabric shop, by the way. I've mentioned that before, but just in case you're new here, it is worth signing up to Waves and Wiles newsletters. She seems to be having an offer on almost weekly. At the moment she's got a child's v-neck t-shirt on, which I mentioned in my Frugal Friday video, and that goes from newborn, in fact it goes from premature babies up to 11 or 12, unisex v-neck t-shirt. I mean, you'll never need another t-shirt pattern again. So I get notified about that. So she does seem to be having sales on regularly, and she does have a lot of free patterns as well, mostly for children's patterns, but worth subscribing. So that's my top tip of the day. Right, so I'm going to tussle this off Mandy again. I've just had a right fight trying to put it on her, put my next make on and come back to you. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is the Loava dress by Named Clothing, and that's from the Building the Pattern book. So I did do a review of this book when I received it, of what I thought about it, and lots of lovely patterns in here. This is the pattern that caught my eye the most, with the unusual side splits on it, which, can you see that? I'm going to hold her up so you can see. So down the side here you've got side splits. In the book there are 3 variations, well there's more than 3 variations, but there's 3 basic variations. There's a tunic, there's a dress and there's a shirt, and then there's different variations for sleeves and different collar variations as well. Ideally I would have gone for the folded collar variation on this, but I only had 1.5 meters of fabric. The fabric it's a lovely linen and viscose blend, but it's got elastane in it, which I've never come across before, elastane in a linen like that. Really lovely and soft. Got it from the Sewist fabric shop, which is a localish fabric shop to me, but she's only online, and it was the last 1.5 meters that she had of this colourway. So I nabbed that and then just worked with what I've got basically. So I wasn't able to do the, it's like a double collar, it's really unusual. I'll show you pictures as I'm talking. I wasn't able to put any pockets on it, and I just had to go with a short sleeve. But it was the tunic that really attracted me, so it was always the tunic that I was going to make on this one. Really quite simple to put together, considering there's a collar in it. Again, there's not a great deal of fitting in this, which is the thing that surprised me about the Building the Pattern book, because it was focusing really on fit, and there's like 10 inches of ease on the bust on this one, and something like I think there's 15 inches of ease at the waist. So it is square through the bust, waist and hips is this. I'll just give you the measurements of what I made. I made a size 5. I'm a 37 inch bust, 32, 31 inch waist depending, 40 to 41 inch hip. The size 5 is a 37 3/4 inch bust, 31.5 inch waist, 41 inch hip. So I'm there or thereabouts, especially for something so loose fitting as this. The finished measurements for waist, bust and hip on this is 46.5 at size 5. So you can see it's dead square going through. So no fitting at all really with it. There is a bust dart in it. but you know, so making sure that that's in the right place. But yeah, it is oversized. They do draft for somebody who's 5'8" as well in these patterns. So I didn't have to lengthen and shorten it. I'm 5'8" anyway. Sits just above my knee, so that's absolutely fine for me. So because I only had 1.5 meters of fabric, I had to get a little bit inventive of what to use for the yoke. I didn't have quite enough money. Didn't have quite enough fabric for the yoke. So I had this little top in my recycle basket. Picked it up from a car boot ages ago for about £1 or something. A friend taught me into buying it, and I knew it wouldn't fit when I got it home. You can't try on a car boot, or not something like this, you can't. But I really, really love the fabric. It's a little monsoon top, and I just use that, cut the peplum off and use that as the yoke, and it goes really nicely. I'll show you pictures of it rather than undressing Mandy. So yeah, 1.5 meters will do it if you want to use something else for the yoke. The suggestions for fabric are just a light to medium weight woven. So chambray would be really nice in this, linens are great in it. Cotton would just give it a bit more of a stiffer look. You can see this is draping on Mandy really nicely. It's a separate bodice and waist, and you've got the facings here that form this collar, and that's the most difficult part of it really. I didn't bother with buttons and buttonholes. I just sewed these buttons straight on through because it's going straight through my head, and I didn't really want to do buttonholes on fabric that got a laftan in it. Thought it wouldn't really work, and I really would have liked to have used all these lovely colourful buttons, but I only had 8 of them, and there's 5 down either side of each split. These sort of buttons I pick up when I'm out and about. I think these came from a little wool shop, a little knitting shop in Nottingham, and the other ones came from a flower show, surprisingly. So it was nice to get them used, and it just gives it a little bit of an added difference. So I've got a full review of the book on my channel, which I'll link to at the end, and I'll come back and give you a full review of all the things that I've made from it. This is my first thing that I've made from it. I've got a few plans to make a few other things from it, so I'll sort of give a proper review when I've made 3 or 4 things. The only thing I found with this is that these sleeves are that big that you can actually, when I'm wearing it, you can actually see straight through into my body. I do wear it with something underneath. I wore an underskirt with it underneath, but you can still, when I reach up, you can still see into it. You wouldn't have that problem with the different sleeve types, but I think it's just a bit of a design fault really. These need to be a little bit smaller. The Calais shirt dress has a similar finishing, and I wouldn't call these sleeves, I would just call them cuffs really. So it's dropped sleeve, and then these are just cuffs at the end. The Calais shirt dress has a similar finish to it, but they're a good inch smaller. If I was to make it again, I'd probably bring that in by about 1 inch. Just raise that by 1 inch, and then bring this in by 1 inch. And that should just omit that problem. So yeah, really enjoyed making this. It's a really nice, simple make, and made easier by sewing buttons straight on and not having to do the buttonholes, which you can do that if you want to do that, it's not a problem. So that's my 3rd make, I think. 4th make was something for my granddaughter, so I've not got it here with me, I'll just have to show you pictures, and that is the Petal dress by Twig and Tail. This is another free pattern that I picked up, and it's such a versatile pattern as this. It ranges from newborn right up to 4 years of age. It's reversible, and you can wear it either with the crossover at the front or the crossover at the back, and you can have a tunic length or a dress length as well. So brilliant little pattern. You know, you've just got so many options with it, and it'll just last them until they're 4 years old. Made it out of the remnants of one of the frocks that I made for the Frugal Frocks challenge that I held with Ruan back in March. I bought the fabric from Minerva years and years ago, and that was all floral. Made the little Mary Quant dress out of it. So I was visiting my granddaughter, well, I was visiting my son and my granddaughter, and the night before I thought, I'm going to make her a little frock. So I used the leftover of that, and then I used a fine black needle cord at the other side. They don't tend to dress her in particularly baby style clothes. Daughter-in-law's Japanese, and her aesthetic is very sort of clean and Japanese style, if you like. She's got quite a lot of Japanese type things, so I thought the style of it would fit in with what they like. But the florals probably isn't their thing, which is why I put the black on the other side. I thought that would definitely get worn more than the florals, although she looked so cute in it. So of course when I went and visited, I had to wear the Mary Quant dress, so we had Grandma and me dresses, matching dresses. Yeah. Really simple to make, lots of support on their website. They've got loads of ideas on their website for using upcycling fabrics. Could use it, old pair of jeans like I did for the coat, or you know, like the rest of that top, I could use that. Tablecloths they were suggesting, an old skirt and all sorts. They've got loads of really fabulous ideas, and they've got lots of ideas also of how to combine other patterns of theirs into like the sleeves. They've got like a little ruffle sleeve, they've got a hooded version. If you made it in a wool, it'd be a lovely little coat. Second thing that I've made for little Alice, and it went down really well. I think Mum and Dad liked it, and I will definitely be making more. I can see why people like making children's clothes, because it's so easy. You know, you're not messing about fitting, it's small, you can use up your leftovers. So yeah, really enjoyed making that one. And I just use little snaps. I've got a little cam snap thing, so I just use little snaps to fasten it. The instructions are really thorough. There's some supporting videos. There's a Facebook page to support you as well, dedicated to twig and tail, not just that pattern. But also they've got quick links, and then they've got like a cheat sheet at the end as well. So if you don't need too much hand holding and you just want to know do this, that and the other, then the cheat sheet's really good for more experienced sewers. So yeah, recommend that one, it's a good one. So last but not least is the buffet dress that I made. So I said at the beginning I made 5.5 things during May, and I did a toile of it, which I'll show you in a second. This again was inspired by the Great British Sewing Bee. They did, on the first episode, did buffet dresses. Now I've done a full sew along of this, so I'm not going to waffle on too long about it. You can watch the sew along if you want. If you want more details of it, I'll just very briefly touch on what pattern I used. That was the Ruffle Sleeve top, which is by In the Folds, and it's available free at Peppermint magazine. And yeah, this is the top that I'm wearing here actually. So I made the top first back in April, and I had made the top with the intentions of making a buffet dress with it, because I actually said when I was reviewing it that it was quite an easy hack to just put some tiers at the bottom. So I thought, put your money where your mouth is, Sam, and do a tutorial on it. So the actual making of it was a lot easier than the actual filming and editing of it. But that's just the way of things. So my first attempt at it was this one that I've got in my hand here, and this is what I'm calling my Miss Havisham dress. This was Mum's old bed sheet, and it was what you call a valance, which I don't know if you've got them around the world, but it's just like the fancy frill that goes around the bottom. So you can see it's all like broderie anglaise, and I wanted the broderie anglaise to make a feature of it. So I did originally make this with the intention of perhaps dyeing it. I knew I'd never wear a cream dress because it just looks too bridal and too, I don't know, it's not me. But on reflection, this broderie anglaise, it's not 100% cotton, I don't think. I might give it a go anyway, I've got nothing to lose. I think with it not being 100% cotton, I think that the broderie anglaise bit will dye differently to the background. Might give a nice effect, so I might just do it anyway just to see what effect it gives. So that was the full length maxi dress, did 3 tiers on that one, and using the ruffle top as a basis, then I just went on to making the knee length one. So this has only got 2 tiers. The bottom tier's slightly shorter than the top tier. I've added pockets here because you need pockets, and then a little belt at the back as well. And what I've done is I've omitted the facings that are in the pattern because it just uses up too much fabric. So I've got a full tutorial of how to do it, and then I've got extra tutorials of how to make your own bias binding, how to do a bias bound neckline. I've done a rolled hem on the sleeves here as well, and how to gather with elastic as well. So I've got all tutorials, separate tutorials of how to do that. But yeah, I had lots of fun of making this. This fabric has come from the shop that I work from, Fabricate at Murfield, but unfortunately I nabbed the last 3 metres of it. It's just nice viscose, it's nice and floaty. It is available in other shops, and the reason why I bought 3 metres of it is somebody had bought 7 metres of it at the shop and there was just 3 metres left on the roll. When I was unravelling it, I unravelled the full roll and there was just these 3 metres left and I couldn't be bothered putting it back on the roll. So yeah, it was like £7 a metre, and I do get a discount, so it was worth it for me. So I've got about just short of a metre left. I've got a metre in length, but I used a little bit from the side for the belts. So you might see this fabric again in the form of a top. If I can squeeze a little cami top out of it or something like that, I will do. I made the size D on this one, and like I say, it probably took me about 2.5 metres to make the dress. I would make this again actually. I wasn't sure that this sort of style would be me, but in this viscose it's nice and floaty, it's perfect for summer. Like I say, there's a full sew along on that one, and I reviewed the top back in April, I think, in my April makes. So all it is the ruffle sleeve top with some tiers added, pockets and a belt. Okay, so that's it from me. I've waffled on long enough, I think. It's been a bit of a mad old May. I'm just about catching up, I think. What with Me Made May and the Great British Sewing Bee, the videos do take quite a bit of putting together, as you can imagine, because I don't know what I'm saying until the show's been on, and then I have to do all the research and then all the editing, and I work Fridays and Saturdays as well, so the videos haven't been coming out on a Friday, even though I'm calling them Frugal Fridays. I record them on a Friday, but sadly I can't get them out until about Sunday. Hopefully there's only 3 or 4 contestants left now, so it might be a little bit quicker. We'll see. But also alongside of all that, we've got things opening back up again. Social life is hitting its maximum again. I've been out a couple of times with friends and family and what have you. Managed to see my granddaughter twice this month. It's been fantastic being able to see her and spend some time with her, and my son obviously, and daughter-in-law. I've got another video coming hopefully about my summer plans. I'm not going to do June plans as such, I'm just going to do summer plans because I picked up quite a bit of fabric over the last month or so, so I've come on and show you the fabric that I've bought and what I plan to make with it. Some of it I might have already made because I can't wait once I get new fabric in the house. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I shall speak to you later. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.